Welcome to a day at Holzinger Lodge, a rustic cabin that's surrounded by trails for hiking and biking, hidden within the bluffs of Winona. Today, we are talking with the previous director of Parks and Recreation to tell us more about the history of the lodge.
My name is Maynard Johnson. I used to be either the Park and Recreation Director or Recreation Director for 28 years, and I retired 6 years ago. I still am involved in Park Rec.
Let's hear about what sets Holzinger Lodge apart from other areas in Winona.
There's two places in this town that are the most used of anything. One is the bike path. Everybody uses the bike path. The other is here. And as far as any of the pavilions, this isn't the fanciest one, but it's the one that people want because of the nostalgia.
Here's some history on the lodge.
First of all, I'm going to start that when this was brought here, it was only a one-room lodge and very rustic, pretty torn down. And when that was back in 1934, this was built, but it wasn't built here. The federal government built it as a transient park of 40 other cabins and mess halls and whatnot. Then that became a homeless shelter. And then the Army back in the 40s decided to use it to train them Japanese. And they had mess halls, they had everything, so the administrators, instructors stayed there. All that was done at Shakopee, and this particular cabin was at Savage, which was very close by. So they lived there, and then they went to Shakopee to do their training. Once the Japanese and the war and whatnot, and they used all those particular people in the service, they didn't know what to do with it, and they didn't want to keep those things. So many places requested it. So I know one went to the St. Cloud Teachers College too, and one went to Winona's. Well, at that time, they figured this building was worth about $8,000. The Navy actually brought 5 to 6 youth that were from Winona here once the city agreed to put it on this site, and they got this site ready in about a month. They put in 44 hours to get this done, and then they brought it with the Navy trucks and not disassembled, and then they put it together. It didn't have a lot of the things that you see in here right now. It was a pretty basic cabin. So the Teachers College gave it to the person by the name John Holzinger, and they dedicated it to him. And the reason they gave it to him, well, a little more history, he had a site that had all the animals and everything collected burnt down. So they named this site for him and allowed him to use this site for all of the students and whatnot for the animal. He taught science and botany, and so that's why that. Like in 61, if I recall, they decided to turn that over to the city, and they would charge him $5 a month for a while. And then finally they decided, well, let's just have the city have it. So we took it over, the city.
Holzinger Lodge has gone through many renovations throughout the years.
Since it was only one story, they decided to put out a bid to do some repairs underneath or upgrades. So they dug out a basement, and prior to that, they had put an oil furnace from the A&P store that closed down. That's pretty much that, and this fireplace, and that's about all they had for eat. So then they decided, let's dig out the basement. They had a bid for like $13,400 plus. They took 4 bids, and a local bidder got it. They also put bathrooms down there, men and women's, and a sink, and a door for access down below. They added the furnace room area and locked that up. And then they did like a play area. So right now it's still down there, pool tables, bumper pool, foosball, all kinds of things down there, table tennis. So this place was used then a lot after those improvements because it was rented by us. But it was free for the first couple of years until everything got totally done. And then it went to $5, big money. But that back then it was. Then slowly that increased over years, especially when they started put the improvements on. Then they started looking at the interior of this part. So when we looked at in here, and I was here at that time, the trusses that were here were bowing, and the structures, even some of the walls were caving in. Other things, then they also did that same time when they did the trusses, they wanted to keep the aesthetics the same, and they wanted to keep the integrity of everything here. And when they did that, the park maintenance guys did the repainting of the logs and did the chinking and things, which took a lot of time with that. And they liked this floor when we put tile in there, and we also changed the wood that was in that little, it was a closet, now it changed to a bathroom. So when all this was done, they also did a kitchen and had the amenities that are there. And then they did a back entrance that's handicap accessible so they could get to the top level. So this way you can get to the bottom level and you can get to the top level. Once that was done, park maintenance was very, very happy because it was a chore to clean that other one when that's wood. The same thing happened at the Friendship Center at the same time we did that too. But this tile is much easier to maintain. And Winona State donated 2 cabinets to put things in. That particular person got all kinds of wildlife prints and put that up and really made it look nice. And it's still the same as it was then, and that was many years ago.
Let's take a look at some of the lodge's outdoor features.
We put a new playground out here for the people, and we also put out a horseshoe pit at the same time. We've put together maps and things of beginner trails, and you can get all that type of stuff online or down at Park Rec or with Visit Winona. So we've tied in a lot of those. It's really a nice place and well used by a lot of people for all kinds of dinners and special guests. I held our Minnesota Park and Rec monthly meetings sometimes here. When I was on Southern Minnesota Park Rec, we held that here, and guys went biking up here too at the same time.
Many people have had positive experiences here. Maynard shares some of his favorite memories.
One of the favorite memories I will have to say is I had my retirement party here. We had lots of people that came, and it's pretty awesome. In fact, at that kind of same time, they notified that they named Field 1, that Winona State does the baseball field, after me, so it's Maynard R. Johnson Field. So I must have done something right.
This space has been an integral part of the Winona community.
This is something that they love to come and sit outside, inside, or walk the trails. People have kids and they got to go out to the playground. They can do all kinds of things. People can walk the trails, people can bike. They can do a lot of things in here. And now that it's handicap accessible and those things, it can be handled for everybody. It's great about Winona, and that's why I'm here. I've been in 41 states, and I'll have to say Winona is one of the most beautiful. We do have some really nice water, bluffs, everything that you want out here, especially in the fall time. So you got the beauty. You don't have to go far.
Thank you so much for joining us for a day at Holzinger Lodge. This location has so much rich history. We hope you're able to enjoy this beautiful area and engage with the greater Winona community.